Hello, please excuse the makeupless face, but honestly, post-acne, I have never been more thankful for just the bags under my eyes and the relatively clear skin. So I do tend to embrace it when I don't have to put on makeup. But this weekend, I wanted to do actually, for this reading week, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I kind of just wanted to read strictly off of my ebooks. So I have so many books that I need to get through from the library. So I thought I would strictly dedicate my week to e-reading and just try to knock out as many as I can, and I'll take you guys along the way. So I'm starting off tonight with Lucy Ye Is Not a Romantic. I am really in my contemporary era. I'm really in my kind of like light romance era, and I'm just really looking forward to getting this one going. So I'm going to hop into this. Unfortunately, I am missing one of my best friends in the world birthday party. I'm just having a couple of health struggles, and I took some medication, and unfortunately it's just not going to work out tonight. So I'm trying to keep myself peppy. I have ordered some vegan wings. I'm making some rice right now and watching The Bachelorette, and then I'm going to read a contemporary romance, and hopefully that perks me up. But so it is Saturday and this is day one. Let's just see how much I can get through in a week. Okay, so in a turn of events, I actually did go out for a couple of hours to my friend's birthday party. I went for sort of the non-club portion. So they're going karaoke and drinking, but I went to the house and just drank water and sat and was just around my friends. And I'm so happy I went. Like, I really think it was the right choice. I miss all of them. I don't get to see them as much now that I work from home completely. So it was definitely the right move. But I will say I was able to read a little bit of Lucy Ye Is Not a Romantic. Enough, at least. I read the first 10%. To get a feel for the story. Basically, the story opens up and Lucy is in a high-end baby store, clothing store, toy store, just general baby things. And she is kind of learning about this expensive swaddle, non-cotton swaddle material, and she just bursts into tears. And then we kind of cut to her at her girls' night with her two best friends, and one of them is struggling with triplets and another child, and another one of them is happily childless, where we find Lucy is struggling with something of a mixed past, where she had a kid and then, trigger warning, unfortunately lost that baby. So her friends tell her about this new kind of Tinder-esque dating website where you can choose to match with other people who are looking to co-parent, but aren't really looking for a relationship. So that is where we've left Lucy, and I'm just going to hop right back into it, and I think just read for the rest of the night. Because that did really take it out of me. I haven't really had the best sleep the last couple of days, but thank God I'm not too dizzy and stuff, but it has taken its toll the last couple of days, and I just need some rest. So I just put The Bachelorette back on. It's just about 10 p.m. and I am going to read for a couple hours and call it a night, I think. Okay, so I finished Lucy Ye Is Not a Romantic, and I'm not sure about that one. I think it deals with a lot of heavier topics than I thought, that has to deal with motherhood and child loss and grief. And for me and my life experience, that's just not something that I was able to disconnect with, and it just wasn't for me. But I would still rate it like a 2.5 or 3 out of 5, because I would recommend it to others, but I do think it should fall under that sort of trigger warning. But as a complete change, I have moved on to Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I read Red Rising a couple weeks ago, kind of like in mid-July, and today marks August 1st. It is a Monday. No, it's not. It is a Tuesday. and I'm just finishing up work. I have to take my boss to the airport a little later this evening. So until then, I'm going to read a little bit, relax. I just did all the dishes, did a little bit of tidying, and now my lawn is getting done, so I'm going to get a little bit further in Golden Sun. Red Rising really took me by surprise. I knew there was a lot of hype around the book, but I didn't, and the series in general, but I didn't actually know anything about it. So, pleasantly surprised. I will check in when I've gotten a little further in Golden Sun. Okay, I don't know how I forgot to update like first thing this morning, but I finished Golden Sun last night by Pierce Brown. It's the second book in the Red Rising series, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I was kind of on the fence. I understood the hype after I read Red Rising. Like, I understood why it was so accessible and how fast-paced it was, and it was reminiscent of a lot of other kind of dystopian sci-fis that are very popular. But now that I finished book 2, I am on the bandwagon. I absolutely loved it, and the final page was just... It's one of those things, though, that basically once you pass book 1, you really can't discuss the plot because there's so many twists and turns and, like, no characters are safe. It's really hard to discuss what happens. But what I can say is if you loved book 1, you're going to absolutely adore book 2. But if you were on the fence like I was with Red Rising, where you kind of understood, but you were passively going to continue the series, it is definitely worth continuing. I checked out book 3 from my library literally right away. But that being said, I also started Funny You Should Ask by Elisa Sussman, and I have 2 hours left to go. I'm 35% of the way through, and it's cute so far. Basically, we're following this journalist who is kind of rose to stardom simultaneously with an actor that she had this really hit interview with. They had a very kind of kismic connection that all of the readers could feel through that article. So she kind of hitched her wagon to his, and they rose together in the light of fame, where he became the new James Bond, and in turn he helped her kind of get a name for herself in journalism. I think I have gotten to the bottom of why I struggle so much with contemporary romance, and I think I struggle with insta-love or insta-attraction. I have always been the reader that appreciated like a good Jane Austen, like long looks across the room, 45 pages in, 35 pages later, maybe they have a conversation that's a little heated, and then 60 pages after that, they brush hands. Like, I think that is the sort of romance that I find the most stimulating for some reason, is like the sort of growing intellectual and emotional connection before there's any sort of payoff. And when I encounter books like Funny You Should Ask, I do understand why they're so popular, but I think that is what I'm finding I struggle with contemporary romance, is right away there's an instant attraction. And also, this isn't a spoiler, it's just very strange. Like, she opens the door at the initial interview when they're both young, and he's shirtless with a puppy. So like, okay, but he's shirtless because he took his shirt off to clean up his puppy's pee, and she's just like over the moon, just couldn't believe her luck. What a man. And like, the first thing that ran through my head is like, why did you take your shirt off to clean up? You're gonna clean up dog pee with your t-shirt? Like, go get a towel. Do you not have animal towels? Do you not have a towel or like a paper towel? It's just very bizarre. And he's like, can you hold my dog? And then he just proceeds to clean up dog pee with his t-shirt, which I just thought like was gross. That's nitpicking. She also said that his laugh was dark and rich, like chocolate, like if chocolate cake had a laugh, which made me physically cringe when I was reading it. So like, I can't even remember the poet, but the poet that likened a woman's laugh to beauty incarnate. Obviously, beauty doesn't have a face, and what that poet, I want to say it was Byron, but I don't think it was. What that poet did was give us a face to beauty and give us a sound to beauty, which was this woman's smile or this woman's laughter. But what Eliza Sussman did was say if chocolate cake had a laugh, this would be what the chocolate cake would sound like laughing, which was one of the weirder things I've ever read in my life. Anyways, it's fine thus far. Currently it's sitting at like a 2.5. I'm passively enjoying it. It's reading super fast. I only read it a little bit this morning. But now I have about an hour and then I'm going to a doctor's appointment. So I will bring my Kobo with me. My friend's picking me up here shortly. So yeah, it's worth noting. But I am still really enjoying just knocking through all of these Kobo reads. Because e-reading, I don't know why. I don't know if I actually do read faster or just because I can see the percentage tick up as I read that it feels that way. So it feels like I'm getting a lot of reading done. Okay, pardon the red face. I just got done a run. The appointment at the clinic went as well as could be expected. And the dogs are fed. My run is complete. So I think I'm going to pop in the shower and then finish Funny You Should Ask. And I will come back with my final thoughts. Okay, hello. So I'm just sitting down for a little bit of work. It's just mid-afternoon, but I don't really feel like taking my lunch today. It is going to be a long weekend. It's a bank holiday on Monday, so I'm hoping I can just get through all my work and just take maybe not quite a half day, but get off a little bit early. But I wanted to update you that I did finish Funny You Should Ask last night, and I also started The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, which is next on my library TBR. A curse and a blessing is like all of my ebooks are coming in at the same time. Last night, The Will of the Many came in as well, so I have a lot to get through, let's just say. But I wanted to check in and say that I rated Funny You Should Ask a 2 out of 5. I can't do half stars, but if I could, I would say a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I just don't think, similar to how I explained yesterday, I don't think instant romance, instant connection kind of is the same thing as romance to me. And I think that's where I struggled quite a lot with this book. But also, I think what we're supposed to be edgier takes and what we're supposed to be where I struggled was a lot of what our main character discussed with her past relationship as getting on her soapbox and being like a hyper feminist. I found were completely like middle of the line, sort of like not edgy or even like super forward thinking acts of feminism or feminist mindset. So I think that is where I struggled a little bit, that I felt how we were supposed to feel or how she was explaining just felt like completely normal takes. As well, I do think I struggle with contemporary fiction because we don't spend a lot of times, not contemporary fiction, contemporary romance, because we don't spend 65 to 80 pages getting to know our characters before they even meet. I feel like all of the characters can be like self-implant characters, or the male protagonist can just be an implant of whoever we want to project, versus falling in love with those characters and watching them fall in love with each other. Instead, because we don't spend a lot of time with them, they come across as more surface level and shallow to me. And therefore, it kind of makes it easy to project whoever you want that character to be, whether it's yourself, whether the celebrity that you wanted him to be was Zac Efron or Matthew McConaughey or Channing Tatum, just whoever your perfect celebrity was, you can kind of just project it in his stead rather than falling in love with that character. And I have seen that quite a lot with contemporary romance. And I think it takes some of the legwork away from the writers, but I also think it does a disservice to readers where you don't necessarily fall in love with personalities that like you normally wouldn't. And I do find that to be something I value in like classical romance is characters that you wouldn't necessarily understand the appeal of, you start to fall in love with as the other characters do. So that's my hot take with contemporary romance. But I also started the book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. I am only 7% of the way through, so just got started last night. And I will say, for this one, I'm enjoying it. It starts off pretty hot right away. We are following two perspectives thus far. It is a young woman who was living kind of in a homestead in the desert when it was attacked suddenly, and she finds herself sort of displaced and making her way to the bigger city. And we are also following a young man who is trapped in this sort of eternal library, it seems like. So we're just starting off this fantasy journey, but I'm excited to dig my teeth both into this and to The Will of the Many this weekend. Okay, so I have just worked out. I finished my workday a little bit later than I was hoping. I finished it around 4. And I'm normally off at 5, so that's a bummer, but I did ensure everything's taken care of for the long weekend. I worked out, and I'm all good to go for like a relaxing rest of the night. I did split my lip, busted a little bit working out because I'm a hazard to myself, but I have a little pug. My senior citizen is sleeping over there. And for those of you who don't know, it's my 18-year-old dog. Oh my God. So I think I'm going to take a shower, watch some Bravo, and hop back into the book That Wouldn't Burn and see how much of that I can get through. Okay, it is that time for reading, for long weekends, and for just lounging around. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And I'm so excited, to be honest. When you have everything done ahead of time, working out, work, everything, and just that like long sigh you can take at the end of the day to go, I'm finally done. I might even put on my glasses, to be honest, and just call it a day. I think that's what I'm gonna do. And I'll check in with you tomorrow. Good morning. So unfortunately I didn't make it any further in my book because we're in the middle of a lightning and thunderstorm and power kind of kept flickering in and out. But it's morning now, I have coffee, and I'm gonna read. Okay, I have just finished the book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, and I think I'm gonna wrap up this e-reading vlog now. I think that's 4-ish books done, and I'm happy to report that I really enjoyed this one. I did not know this was going to be a new series. I definitely thought this was a standalone book, so that took me a little bit by surprise, but I'm not mad about it because I really did enjoy this fantasy. I think I've never read Mark Lawrence before, but I did find his writing to be incredibly engaging. The pacing was perfect, and the world building simultaneously was really well done. I think in a lot of fantasy I've read lately, where it can get kind of clunky is the world building aspect. So writers kind of struggling to build their world while simultaneously telling the story they would like to tell and making book 1 engaging enough that you're gonna pick up book 2. For certain readers like myself, I don't mind terribly if book 1 is super, super slow and we just rely on character building and world building to take us through book 1. I'm actually okay with that, but I do understand the want for writers to make book 1 very engaging also. I think someone who does this incredibly well is John Gwynne. He does I feel like he's a master of the simultaneous plot building, world building, and character building. He does such a good job with it. So that's going to be it for me. I just did my August TBR and I got some real doozies, so I'm going to just put my head down and focus this weekend on reading basically as much as possible. So I'm going to end this vlog here and basically pick up filming right after this. So thank you so much for watching and coming with me as I bulldoze through a bunch of my ebook Libby loans that came in all at the same time, and I will see you in my next video.